Okay, here's my messy garage and there's my concourse sitting there. I'm going to try to summarize the project from the beginning, and I may have to cut and edit and do a lot of things because I'm just not a really good video producer. But anyhow, let's just start with getting the seat off and start show you where everything's at. Okay, down in here is my the Speeduino no overhang 2-channel board and the case that I 3D printed for it. And this connector that's right here, I do not recommend this connector. It's been a pain in the ass ever since I began the project. The pins won't go all the way in, or they pop out, and I've had several crimp connections that break, and you don't know it until you try to do a continuity check and because something's not working. So if you want to reproduce this project, you need to find a different connector. Now the Speeduino does not have, or this box does not have its cover and its faceplate on because I've been doing a lot of troubleshooting during the project. So I do have a translucent cover for the box and the actual faceplate to go on there. Once I'm finished, now I don't have to open it anymore. I haven't opened it and taken it out in probably a month, so I think I'm getting close to just buttoning it up. Okay, and I know in my videos I said I had used the 14.7 Spartan 2 wideband controller. I was having issues with that, and which turned out to be something, or it turned out to be the actual sensor itself. I had to buy a new O2 sensor, but while troubleshooting that, I went ahead and installed the free two. I think it's SLC 2, yeah, SL2 free, and that's it right there. Anyhow, this all fits nicely under the seat, but this is the only place I could actually find for mounting the thing. I had contemplated putting it up under here, but then I would probably lose some glove compartment space, so I opted to just mount it on the back of the battery compartment. Okay, so that's it. You know, and I taped up all these harnesses, so I've got some tape, and I just bought it by accident, but it's really good stuff. It doesn't stick very well, so you don't have to stick them to your fingers while you're trying to wrap it. But when you're done, you hit it with a heat gun, and it gets very sticky, and then it's almost like a factory wrapped. So I'll go get a piece of that and show it to you. Okay, it's called YC Industrial. It's a cloth tape. It's not very sticky at all, but you hit it with a heat gun, it gets really sticky. But then it kind of is almost like shrink wrap once you hit it with a heat gun. Okay, there's probably 100 different ways you could have put this together, but I want to show you that black thing right there. Get out of the way. I hate this trouble light. Anyhow, that black thing laying there on that piece of foam is the fuel pump. And the reason it's mounted in there that way is because the other side is the intake, and it comes straight down from the tank into there. Just does an elbow, goes into the fuel pump, and then right here to the left is a fuel regulator off a GM car. It's Buick, and then the other side of that goes up to the injectors. So I've routed the return goes right back up, and it goes into the back of the tank. Okay, that is normally the vent pipe, and it takes, and that was the drain for the vent, but that's not what it does anymore. And so inside the pipe, or inside the tank, right inside the fuel gas cap, let's see if I'll just get that out. Okay, that drain actually gets routed internally to the tank, and it comes up right up under here. So what you have to do is you need to take this this stuff off and drill it out, because the pressure coming from the fuel pump overflow coming in through here is a lot. And what will happen is it'll all gather up in here, and it'll start to leak because this is the vent for that. So what I ended up doing is you take all this off, and you find that vent pipe, and you just drill it out, so the gas doesn't come up into this area anymore, just dumps right back into the tank. All right, so, and if you don't do that, you're gonna get gas everywhere. Okay, what next? All right, in my video documentation on YouTube, I have one of them was trying to adapt these throttle bodies to this head, and what I ended up buying, or I kind of kludged it together and made it fit, but it just didn't. It was worrisome to me because I didn't think it was strong enough. So I bought these from China. They're an adapter. It goes from, I think it was, I want to say right now because I don't have it in my head, but anyhow, one end fits on the throttle bodies, the other end is a nice tight fit, and I actually cut an inch off of it just to get it up closer to the head. But yeah, that's what I ended up doing, and it works really well. You can see a little bit of flex in those now. As on each intake stroke, you can see it breathing, and that's kind of cool. But anyhow, that's what I ended up doing. So don't follow what I did in the YouTube video. And I wish I had 3 hands. Okay, these throttle cables, I made those. What I did is I bought some longer throttle cables, and then cut them to size, and then mounted the ends that came off of the Kawasaki. I mounted the ends on those cables. The stock cables are not long enough to make it all the way down here. But anyhow, and I had the ends I had to buy off of eBay. I'll try to document where I got all that stuff. But that's the way it is, okay? And I don't know what else to say. Oh, this harness, I finally found a mating connector, so I don't have all those loose wires sticking up in there. I bought this harness off of eBay. You have to hunt for it because I didn't. There's no part number for it. But just looking at pictures of harnesses on eBay, I found one I thought would work. I bought it. It was like 12 bucks. And when I got it, I was so happy because it was exactly the right fit. And so I just spliced all my wires into that connector and plugged it right into the injectors. Okay. As for the O2 sensor, it is right here. This is the down pipe on cylinder number 4, and I put it right below here. And the shroud, the cowling will just fit down over that top. So I drilled it a little bit too big, and then when I welded it, this is very thin stuff. So I tack welded it all the way around, and then let it cool, and I tack around again, and then I got some of that muffler putty and sealed up any remaining holes. And this is one of the most critical pieces of this whole puzzle, is the crank wheel. I tried many different ways to sense the crank position, and I finally gave up and designed this, took it to a machine shop, and they cut it out. So I had made I think a total of 10 of these to kind of distribute the cost across them. But anyhow, I measured this hole in the center just a little too small, and so what I do is I've done this on 2 bikes so far. Is I've got a grinding wheel. It's a cone shape, and I grind a little bit to enlarge this hole and try it, and I keep doing that little tiny increments until it just slips over the shaft. Okay, and this is the key. That's the normal key on the Kawasaki, and it goes in just like that. Okay, that's in my video. I just wanted to point out that this is critical. You got to get this right, or nothing works. Okay, and the other half of this puzzle is the sensor that senses these, and I think it's well documented in my other video. But what I did is I used the stock Kawasaki sensor as a model, and I did a 3D mold of it. I set it in the bottom of a container, glued it down, and then poured silicone over the top of it. Actually, I stood it up off the bottom about a quarter inch. Anyhow, I made a silicone mold of the original, and then I used that and pieces of the original bracket to create a Hall effect sensor, and it works great. So I've tried VR sensors, and they just don't do it. There's all kinds of problems with VR sensors on the Speeduino. I think 80% of the people that use Speeduino or even Microsquirt or Megasquirt, they all have trouble with the VR sensor. I mean, it's just part of the game. So anyhow, if I've left anything out, I mean, the reason I used the no overhang 2-channel Speeduino was because that's what I had on hand. My other bike, identical bike in the backyard, I used the 4.3 board, which is much larger, but it also fits back here. And I used a Hammond case for that. I 3D printed this myself. But anyhow, it all fits. On my other bike, I've got one of these also, but it's mounted up there, so you can actually watch it. I didn't want to run the extra harnesses up there, so I said, I don't need to look at it. After I've got it tuned, I'm pretty sure it's not going to untune by itself. So that's why it's mounted back here rather than up on the dash. Okay, here's a little PC I use for tuning. This is my magnetic tank bag, and it's got a Velcro surface on the top, and I just put a Velcro strip across the back of my laptop, or it's not really a laptop, it's a tablet PC, and I get everything set. I roll down the driveway, I hit auto tune and drive around. I did idle and warm-up enrichment by hand. They have a warm-up enrichment tuner. I don't trust it because it usually screws things up. So I did warm-up by hand and idle by hand, and then I use auto tune to do the rest. I'm not finished by any means. I still got a lot of driving around and trying to hit all the cells within the what in the world is all? They said a little light up above. What's that thing for? Okay, I'm gonna go out back to my original, and it's almost identical. This. water sprinklers are on. Okay, this is my bobber. This is my first or my second throttle body experiment. These throttle bodies came off of a Z1000 Kawasaki, and they had secondary throttle plates in them, and I took them out because I had to spread cylinder 2 and 3 away from, I'm sorry, yeah, they didn't fit, so I had to cut and adapt these by putting a spacer between 2 and 3, cylinder 2 and 3, and I couldn't use the secondary throttle plates, so that's why it doesn't have them. So anyhow, but the mounting's pretty much the same. I did use my old method of making my own adapter, and then there is Speeduino down there in a Hammond case, and this guy runs really good. It's cut off at the end, the tail, and I just stuck this other seat on it. Okay, so anyhow, those came off a Z1000. The throttle bodies on the other bike, the one that's in the garage, let's see, the throttle bodies came off as Kawasaki Z1000, and the reason I use those is that you don't have to cut and paste and adapt. They almost fit. The spacing between everything is about the same. However, the diameter, the output of the throttle bodies is much too big for the head. That's why that little blue adapter is in there. So anyhow, let's see, what else have I forgotten? No, I guess that's it. I've got some documentation online on the Speeduino, not the Slack, but the forum. I have some documentation on both of these bikes, actually, but not as much on this one. But I will try to finish that. Yeah, it does on the cold start this morning.